Is he present in the courtroom?
Yeah, he's a witness.
Oh, thank you.
Do you mind to flip to exhibit number 3, please? I have the picture of what purports to be the empty jewelry case. Do you recognize this picture,
Yes,
Officer Burkett?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize this picture?
This is exactly what I saw when I entered the American Pawnit shop.
And was there anything that was taken off or from this jewelry case?
Yes, in particular, there was a gold crown necklace that was taken from the jewelry case. And when we examined the case, that's when we found the fingerprint from Mr. Michael Edwards and 3 fingerprints from Mr. Ray Boyd.
Your Honor, I move that the prosecution exhibit number 3 be entered into evidence.
Objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Let it be entered.
The next exhibit number 4, if you don't mind. I have the photograph of what purports to be the muddy footprints that were found at the scene of the crime. Officer Burkett, do you recognize this picture?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize this picture?
These are the footprints that I saw when I entered the store on July 15th.
And where exactly, if you recall, where were these footprints found?
The footprints were around the counter of the jewelry cases and behind the counter where the cash register was.
Your Honor, I move that the prosecution exhibit number 4 be entered into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
Was the information about the footprints ever shared with anyone outside of the investigation?
No.
And at this point in your investigation, were there any leads?
There were no leads. We actually even checked the records of the pawn shop to see if anybody would have come back to take revenge. At this point, the lead that we were going off of were these footprints that we had not disclosed to anyone.
And what exactly prompted you to reopen this investigation?
Exactly a year after the murder occurred, I received a phone call from the inmate, Mr. Jimmy Peterson.
And what did you find out in speaking with Mr. Peterson?
Mr. Peterson told me that he had information in connection with the murder and the robbery.
And how exactly did Mr. Peterson obtain this information?
He was told this information by the suspect himself, the murderer himself.
And what exactly did Mr. Peterson want in exchange for this information that he possessed about the murder of Mr. Boyd?
Mr. Peterson was facing time in jail when he called me, so he wanted a deal for his time to be reduced from giving this information.
And what made you believe that the information provided by Peterson was reliable?
I believe the information was reliable because Mr. Peterson knew things about the murder that only the murderer would have known.
Do you know the specific details of that?
Yes, he knew the name of the victim. He knew about the muddy footprints that we hadn't leaked to anybody. He knew of how many times the victim was shot. He knew about the gold crown necklace that was found that had been taken. He knew about the leaky air conditioner. Just so many things that nobody else would have known he knew about.
And can you describe this necklace?
This necklace, I remember to be about 2.4 ounces gold with the crown in the middle of it.
And did you find anything interesting about the necklace that was described by Mr. Peterson?
Yes, actually, when I checked the records in jail off of Michael Edwards, I found that exact same necklace in his belongings.
And after you were able to secure a deal for Mr. Peterson, did he name the murderer?
Yes, he did.
And what did you do after you spoke with Mr. Peterson?
I checked the belongings of Michael Edwards that were in the jail, and then I went to speak with Michael Edwards himself.
And what did you find out when you spoke with or interviewed Mr. Edwards?
Mr. Edwards.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sorry, let me hear the question again.
What did you find out in interviewing or speaking to Mr. Edwards?
I'll sustain the objection.
What did you do after you spoke with Mr. Peterson?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Overruled.
After I spoke to Mr. Peterson, I went to speak with Michael Edwards, and he told me that he had been to the I was asking him questions about American Pawnit. He told me he had been there and had pawned some stuff there recently.
And
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Your Honor, it's a party opponent's statement. Mr. Edwards is the key defendant in our case. So if I can't ask Officer Burkett in speaking to Mr. Edwards,
Overruled.
what additionally did you find out about Mr. Edwards' whereabouts on the day of the murder of Mr. Rayboy?
Mr. Edwards told me that the day of the murder was his birthday, and he said that he was at the strip club first with his friend and then went to a bar with his friends.
And what did you find out concerning Mr. Edwards' knowledge about the pawn shop murder?
He said he had only heard about the murder on TV.
And did you find out if Mr. Edwards had ever been to the pawn shop?
Yes, he told me he had been there prior to pawn a necklace.
And did he tell you how much he had received for that necklace?
Yes, he did. He said he received $50.
And what did Mr. Edwards say happened to the necklace when he returned to reclaim it?
He said when he came back to get his necklace, it was gone and had been stolen in the robbery that he heard about.
And did you ask Mr. Edwards permission to do anything else after you had spoken with him?
I asked him if it would be okay if we searched his home.
And did you receive permission?
Yes.
And what did you do before you searched his home or the contents of his belongings?
I obtained a warrant to search the contents of his belongings in the jail.
And what did you find in those contents?
I found the exact same gold necklace that I had checked prior, and it matched up to the one that Mr. Peterson was telling me about.
If you don't mind to flip to exhibit number 5, I have here what purports to be the gold crown necklace of Mr. Michael Edwards. Do you recognize this picture, Officer Burkett?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize this picture?
This is the gold necklace I found when I searched Michael Edwards' belongings.
And how would you describe this picture?
I would describe it as a gold necklace with a gold crown in the middle of it.
And does this exhibit similarly match the description that Michael Edwards revealed to you about his own necklace?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, I move that the prosecution exhibit number 5 be entered into evidence.
No
Your
objection.
Honor, it's never been marked for identification purposes.
Oh, I apologize. Your Honor, may I have the court clerk mark exhibit number 5 for identification?
Are you going to do 6 and 7?
I'm gonna do 6, so if I can have them mark 6 and 7. Or 5 and 6, I apologize.
Thank you. Clerk will mark those for identification.
Thank you, Your Honor.
May I move that exhibit number 5 be moved into evidence?
Okay. Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
And when you searched the home of the defendant, what did you find?
We found guns in the closet in a shoebox, and we found a hat with hair attached to it, a costume hat with hair attached to it.
If you don't mind to flip to exhibit number 6. I have here what purports to be the hat with the ponytail that was found in the home of Mr. Michael Edwards. Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize that picture?
This is the exact hat that I found when I searched his home.
And does this reflect how you found it?
Yes, it does.
And what else can you tell me in your experience does the hat resemble?
This hat very well resembles a fake Halloween type costume hat.
Your Honor, I move that the prosecution exhibit number 6 be entered into evidence.
No objection.
And you said that you found guns matching, or you found guns in the shoebox in the defendant's home, correct?
Yes, I did.
And what did you find interesting about these guns?
The interesting thing about these guns were they were very similar, matched the exact description of the guns that were stolen from the American Pawn Shop.
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
No, I'll overrule that.
And what else did you find interesting about those guns?
The serial numbers were scratched off of them.
And based on your experience in law enforcement, is filing off serial numbers inconsistent with stolen firearms?
No, not at all.
And in your opinion, who murdered Rayboy?
Michael Edwards.
No further
Objection, Your Honor,
questions, Your
second.
Honor.
That will sustain, that will be stricken.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The jury will disregard that statement.
please state your name for the record?
Jack Burkett?
Mr. Burkett, do you believe that you've conducted a full and complete investigation?
Yes, I do.
Isn't it true that the body of the victim was found not only by the neighboring business owner, but also a customer owner?
No, that's not true.
Let me rephrase. Isn't it true that the body of the victim was found by the customer and the neighboring business owner?
No, it was found by the customer, the neighboring business owner.
But you never questioned the customer regarding the murder?
Well, the customer was the neighboring business owner.
Objection, Your Honor. Who is this customer? It's vague.
I'm very confused by the question and the answer.
The record stated that the body was found by both a customer as well as the neighboring business owner, who's Mr. Bill Cooper, the deceased.
Yeah. And her testimony is it was found by the customer of a neighboring business owner?
It was, no, Your Honor, Officer Burkett did not, the record does not indicate.
Why don't we ask her again and get a clear answer? If the officer knows.
Sure. Isn't it true that you only interviewed Mr. Bill Cooper after the incident?
Yes.
Did you interview the customer as well?
I didn't see a customer, I only saw Mr. Bill Cooper.
So the only eyewitness testimony you have is of Mr. Bill Cooper,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And Bill Cooper was in poor health at the time, correct?
That's correct.
And he died not long after the murder, right?
Right.
So the only eyewitness testimony we have is that of a dying man whose senses were diminished.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
There,
Sustained. There is no eyewitness testimony.
Isn't it true that this case was cold for roughly a year without any solid leads?
That's true.
And isn't it true that until Peterson contacted you, that you received the break in the case?
That's true.
And during his initial contact over the phone with you, did Mr. Peterson disclose any information?
He disclosed information after we talked about a deal.
Therefore, Peterson withheld any information until he was certain that he would receive a plea bargain.
Well, he did talk about the murder, he just didn't give a name.
And didn't raise any concerns or doubts for you?